Welcome to JForrest English Training. I'm Jennifer, and in this lesson, you're going to learn English with the news. We're going to read an article together, and this is a very interesting article on dinosaurs. Let's get started. Let me read our headline. Record-breaking dinosaur footprint appears on the Yorkshire coast. All right, dinosaur footprint. This is the footprint here. Now, this, of course, is my hand. If I put my hand into sand, it will leave a print, or mud, or any type of different surface, sand, mud, clay. I can put my hand in, and if I remove my hand, it will leave a print on the ground, and that is what they're talking about. But of course, with your foot, not with your hands. I'm not going to show you my foot. That would be very awkward and weird. Okay, record-breaking dinosaur footprint. Record-breaking, let's talk about this because this is an adjective. Record-breaking means either very new and or a big change from other things of its type. So of course, they have found other dinosaur footprints in the past, but this one is a very big change because it is so large. They're showing you the size of it here. So that's why it's record-breaking. So you could say, this year, the amount of rain was record-breaking. So it was a big change from rain in the past. So the amount was either really large or really small. Now, sometimes you can describe a company change, for example, as not record-breaking. The new initiative is not record-breaking. So this is almost an insult because you're saying, well, it's not record-breaking. It's not really new. It's not really a big change. It's very similar to what's already been done in the past. It's not record-breaking. So notice here, we're using as an adjective and I'm using my verb to be record-breaking, or in the negative, to not be record-breaking. Let's continue on. So this is the dinosaur footprint, the record-breaking dinosaur footprint. A giant carnivorous dinosaur. What is a carnivorous dinosaur? Ooh, do you know? This is a good science word. Carnivorous is an adjective and it describes the eating habits of the dinosaur or other animals as well. Carnivore describes an animal that eats only meat. Omnivore describes an animal that eats meat and plants, a bit of both. And then herbivore is only plants. Now keep in mind, this is a description for animals only. We don't use this terminology with people to describe our diets. So as an interesting point, did you know that some plants are carnivores? A plant is a carnivore that eats meat. Well, there's a plant called the Venus flytrap, and the name flytrap because it eats flies, which is an insect. So that's pretty cool. But a lot of large animals, including dinosaurs, were herbivores. They only ate plants. Can you think of a dinosaur that was a herbivore or one that was a carnivore? Think back to Jurassic Park. Now, this is for animals. Let's talk about people to describe your diet. Well, you may know the term vegetarian. This is to describe a person who doesn't eat meat. Okay? Now, there are a lot of different diets these days. A vegetarian does not eat meat, but there's also a vegan, and this is a person who doesn't eat, describes a person who doesn't eat any animal products. For example, milk, butter, eggs, and even honey, because honey is produced from bees, and bees are animals. So vegans don't eat these products. But generally, a vegetarian would consume milk because milk is not the actual animal. Now, when I say meat, this includes things like chicken, fish, although obviously fish is not meat, but we just say meat to mean these products as well. Chicken, fish, pork. So meat products, I guess you could say animals to be more specific. Who doesn't eat meat, chicken, fish, pork, animals? So as a vegetarian, vegan, we also have a pescatarian. Now, a pescatarian, this is a person who does not eat meat, but does eat fish. So a more inclusive diet. So you could say she is a vegetarian, for example. To be a vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian. Now, if you eat meat and everything, well, then you don't have to specify anything because that's just considered the normal diet, at least in North America. So remember, these terms are specific to animals, and these are the terms we use to describe people's dietary preferences. So let's continue on. A giant carnivorous dinosaur likely rested or crouched down in Yorkshire. To crouch down is when you lower your body. If this is my leg, I could put my leg down like this as well. So I crouch down. In Yorkshire, 166 million years ago. Woo, long time ago. Deeply pressing its feet into the ground, and that's how it created this footprint, right? The colossal creature. Colossal means really, really big. Colossal. So if you want to be dramatic, you could say, I have a colossal problem, which means really, really big problem. But in this case, we're talking about the creature. The colossal creature left behind a record-breaking footprint recently discovered along the United Kingdom's dinosaur coast. And this is the image of the dinosaur that they think left behind the colossal footprint. Pretty big, right? Now, I want to quickly show you where I found this article and a tool that you can use to find articles and help you read those articles as well. I found this article from this amazing language learning app called Linguistic. Now, Linguistic uses AI technology to help you learn from real-world content like articles, blogs, and even assignments from your school in real time. So you can see on the left-hand side, they have these different categories. So I went into the science category because a lot of students asked me to review science articles. So I came onto Linguistic, I went to the science category, and I found the article. Now, I also chose this article because, as you can see, it's rated as C1, and a lot of my students asked me for advanced articles. So here's the article on the Linguistic app. Now, as you're reading along, you can highlight a sentence here and it will show you the breakdown of the sentence. So you can learn all the vocabulary, you can save it to flashcards, you can do quizzes with it, and you can see the top words in the article, the vocabulary breakdown, and you can even hear the audio and practice your pronunciation. Now, there's this really cool quiz feature where it will give you comprehension questions to see if you really understood the article. So as you're reading, it will quiz you to see what you remember from the article. And right now, Linguistic is giving all JForrest English students a free account. So you can look in the description or the comment section and go create your free Linguistic account right now to help you learn from the news a lot easier. Now let's continue on with our article. Thousands of dinosaur footprints and many fossils. Fossils are part of a plant or animal or just the shape that's been preserved in rock or earth for a very long time. So this footprint we would consider a fossil as well because it's the shape of the dinosaur's foot and it's preserved in rock. So that is a fossil. and they've been recovered over the years along the Yorkshire coast. But this discovery was made in April 2021 by local archaeologists. Listen to the pronunciation. Don't look at the word, just listen. Close your eyes, listen. Archaeologist, archaeologist, archaeologist. An archaeologist, well, this is a profession. It's a job title, and it's someone who studies the buildings, graves, tools, or other objects of people who lived in the past. So when you go to a museum and you look at a bowl that was from 2,000 years ago, it was likely an archaeologist who found that bowl. Let's continue. Now, this is a quote from the archaeologist, what's her name? Marie Woods. And she found the footprint, the dinosaur footprint, the fossil. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I had to do a double take. A double take is when you look at something and then you look again really quickly because you want to confirm that what you just saw was accurate. So let's say you're walking down the street and you see Brad Pitt. You look at this guy and then you're going to look again. Was that just Brad Pitt? You do a double take, and it happens really quickly to do a double take, okay? To do a double take. But let's say you just got an assignment back and you see that you got 100%. So you look at it and then you might look again. You have to do a double take because you can't believe you got 100%. So you can use this in many different situations. It's just an expression to say that you want to confirm that what you saw is correct because it's very surprising or unlikely, like seeing a celebrity, Brad Pitt. So Marie Woods had to do a double take because it was so surprising seeing this giant, colossal footprint. She said in a statement, "I have seen a few smaller prints when out with friends, but nothing like this." Now notice her verb tense. What verb tense is this? This is the present perfect. And in this case, let me write this, present perfect. Because our timeline is an unfinished timeline. So let's say she has seen 10 fossils, but it's possible for her to see more fossils because she's alive. And tomorrow, if she goes for a walk on the coast, she might see 11 fossils or one more fossil, which makes 11 total fossils. And then the next year, she might see another fossil, and then her total is 12 fossils. So because this number can increase, it's considered an unfinished timeline, and we use the present perfect. So you might say, I've been to 3 different countries, but you can still go to other countries next year, in the next 10 years, 20 years, as long as you're alive. So that's an unfinished timeline, and that's why it's in the present perfect. Let's continue on. Woods reached out to paleontologist Dr. Dean Lomax. If there are any Friends fans watching, you may know that Ross Geller, one of the main characters from the TV show Friends, was obsessed with dinosaurs because he was a paleontologist. A paleontologist is someone who studies fossils as a way of getting information about the history of life on Earth. Pronunciation, listen, paleontologist. Archaeologist, paleontologist. Now, Woods reached out. This is a very common business phrasal verb. And when you reach out to someone, it simply means that you contact someone for a specific purpose. And that specific purpose is to discuss this fossil, this colossal fossil. That rhymes, colossal fossil. Okay. To reach out to. Now notice this preposition because you always reach out to someone. You do not reach out someone. That's grammatically incorrect. You reach out to someone. So make sure you get that too. Let's continue on. So Woods reached out to paleontologist Dr. Dean Lomax to get his thoughts on what she found at Bernaston Bay. So to get one's thoughts on is just another way of asking someone what they think about it, their opinion, to get one's thoughts on. So that's a nice alternative you can add to your vocabulary. The three-toed footprint. So three-toed, we are fingers on my hands, toes on your feet, right? So I have a 5-fingered hand. But dinosaurs had a 3-toed foot. Okay, remember, I'm using my hand, but they're talking about their feet. So 3 toes. Fingers on your hands, toes on your feet. Is one of only 6 to be found in the area, and the first one was found in 1934. Concerned that the footprint might erode more if left along the coast. To erode, this comes from the word erosion. Erode is the verb. Erosion is the noun. Erosion. Erosion is when something solid, like soil or stone, a rock, but it's gradually reduced or destroyed by the natural elements, by water, rain, or wind. So that footprint that we saw right now, it's a solid footprint, but over time, water is going to hit it and is going to gradually reduce, and that's from erosion, and eventually it will be gone. Of course, this will take many, many, many years. Now, did you know that the Grand Canyon was produced by erosion? It was produced by this giant rock being worn away by water. And eventually it was worn away so much that it produced the Grand Canyon. Okay, concerned that the footprint might erode, so be destroyed by the natural elements, might erode more, so it's already eroded some because it is very old, right? If left along the coast, the team arranged for it to be safely moved. Fossil collectors Mark, Aaron, and Shay Smith carefully collected the footprint and donated it to the Scarborough Museum and Galleries. Well, that's nice. Hudson and Lomax were able to study the footprint in detail once it was relocated. So notice they have re here in front of the verb locate. When something is relocated, it means it's moved from one location to another location. So that's relocated. Moved from one location to another location. And often it's done for security reasons, to protect something. So they might relocate the Mona Lisa painting from the museum to a protected area if they think there's a threat to it, and then return it to the original location once the threat is over, which enabled the researchers to learn more about the dinosaur who left the impression behind. In this case, the impression is just the footprint. The print is also the impression, the mark you see in the rock. Now, enable, this is just a formal way of saying allow. It was relocated, which enabled the researchers, which allowed the researchers to learn more about it. The duo means two. So in this case, the duo represents Hudson and Lomax. That's our duo because duo means two. Sometimes we see this on food menus. You might see a duo of dips. So you have one dip, maybe salsa, and the other dip, maybe guacamole. So those are your two dips. So you could say chips
with a duo of dips, which means two dips. So you can see this on food items, but it commonly refers to people. A duo, that means two. Analyze the shape of the footprint, number of toes, and claw marks. So if I were to scratch into something, that would leave a mark. I don't have claws, I have nails, but on animals, generally they call them claws instead of nails. So if a dinosaur scraped into the rock or the tree, that would be the claw marks. As well as impressions. Remember, impressions are just marks left behind from the dinosaur's feet or hands made by the dinosaur's skin. Well, in this case, is impressions from the skin. Because if the dinosaur was lying down, it would leave marks on the ground from any part of the body the dinosaur was touching. Once work has been completed on the fossilized footprint, this is just the adjective form. A footprint that's fossilized just means it's preserved in the rock. It has become a fossil. It will go on public display. So to go on public display just means to be available publicly. Available publicly. It will go on public display. It will be available publicly, which means if you were in Scarborough Museum, wherever that is, you would be able to see this fossil. Wouldn't that be cool? You can go take a selfie with it. It will go on public display, among others, at the Scarborough Museum and Gallery's Rotunda Museum. So that's where you can see the fossil. So that's our article. A lot of advanced vocabulary, but very common vocabulary. And now I will read the article in full from start to finish so you can follow along and focus on my pronunciation. Record-breaking dinosaur footprint appears on the Yorkshire coast. A giant carnivorous dinosaur likely rested or crouched down in Yorkshire 166 million years ago, deeply pressing its feet into the ground. The colossal creature left behind a record-breaking footprint recently discovered along the United Kingdom's dinosaur coast. Thousands of dinosaur footprints and many fossils have been recovered over the years along the Yorkshire coast. But this discovery was made in April 2021 by local archaeologist Marie Woods as she walked along the coast. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I had to do a double take, Woods said in a statement. I have seen a few smaller prints when out with friends, but nothing like this. Woods reached out to paleontologist Dr. Dean Lomax to get his thoughts on what she found at Burniston Bay. The three-toed footprint is one of only 6 to be found in the area, and the first one was found in 1934. Concerned that the footprint might erode more if left along the coast, the team arranged for it to be safely moved. Fossil collectors Mark, Aaron, and Shay Smith carefully collected the footprint and donated it to the Scarborough Museum and Galleries. Hudson and Lomax were able to study the footprint in detail once it was relocated, which enabled the researchers to learn more about the dinosaur who left the impression behind. The duo analyzed the shape of the footprint, number of toes, and claw marks, as well as impressions made by the dinosaur's skin. Once work has been completed on the fossilized footprint, it will go on public display, among others, at the Scarborough Museum and Gallery's Rotunda Museum.
And I want you to download this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can download it from my website right here. And whenever you're ready, get started with your next lesson.